Hey, last week we were talking, and you were talking about your brother, Bo, getting into the FCW school before you and lighting the fire under your ass. How much sooner did he get into the school before you?
I think he was there maybe like 6 months before me ish.
So what was it? Was you like a damn egg in a frying pan at that point saying, hey, man, I'm letting this stuff pass me by. I better jump on and get in this stuff.
Yeah, I couldn't hold it any longer. But I had to get into it. I mean, it's an addiction too. Once you do cross that barrier, and even for me, before I couldn't stand, being in my position anymore. It used to be everything I loved. I could not stand, could not be there. So I would have given everything to jump in at first.
But as much as you enjoyed playing football and you were an All-American, did you see the writing on the wall of, hey, man, I'm good here, but playing in the pros, hey, maybe it's not going to happen. Were there dreams or aspirations of playing pro football, or you're like, going back to your roots, your calling card, the family business of pro wrestling?
Yeah. I mean, if you look at it, I was a center, and I was about 6'2". I had a good 40 time there. I had real good strength. But in the NFL, everyone's 6'5".
Yep.
It's thick. And I could have pursued it, and it probably wouldn't have worked out the way I wanted it to. But that was not the driving factor in why I came here. It was more of, this is what I really wanted to do. And I had a great time while I was doing that. And it molded me and changed me and place I want to play football. It really, looking back at it now, it really helped me, in this department. And also my amateur wrestling in, high school and how long I did that. And I actually almost pursued that in college as well.
Now you were a state champion. You were a state champion in wrestling in high school. Have you ever thought to implement any amateur wrestling into the Bray Wyatt character? It doesn't sound like it fit, but that's where you come from. Have you used any of that background?
Well, I think, to explain this in a rational way, I was very unorthodox. You're right, man.
Right.
My body just moves in a strange way, and I attacked in a different way. I was not your smooth, I'm going to shoot on your leg and take you down and score points. I was, here I come, I'm going to whoop your ass.
Just a wild man.
Wrestler.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna come at you, and I can move. I was especially back then when I was lighter. I was very fast for a heavyweight, and I was just really mean.
Right.
I had always had that wild side to me, where especially if something didn't go my way, where it was more of a close to a clear slide than it was a wrestling match from that point with me, which is why I think I won like 3 competitive earlier. I was just mean.
Hey, man, but I've always said, as a heel, I do believe you have to have a mean streak. As a babyface, you must have fire. So, I mean, if you're not willing to go out there and just punish the hell out of the person that you're working with, I mean, because there's one way to get heat. And you watch some of the classic guys that I used to really like, guys who weren't great athletes, but when they flipped the switch, they got mean. And Michael P.S. Hayes is one of those guys. He was just a cocky, arrogant heel. And he was a piece of trash, and he would back off and sometimes beg off. But when it came time to switch the, flip the switch and get heat, he turned into a different person. Adrian Adonis turned into a different person. Ric Flair even turned into a different person. He was mean. And that's what I think is a big key to making a successful heel. And then on the other side of that, as a babyface, I mean, the guy has to have fire. There has to be some spark. And sometimes I think you can work with a person long enough that they understand this, but for the most part, you're either born with that competitive spark or that mean streak, and some people will never get it, and that's why they never ascend to a higher level, given the facts that everything else that they do is very good.
I agree with that 100%, man. There's a level of tenacity, and you see it in every sport in the world. You either have it or you don't. And it's a switch, and not everyone can get it, which is why I think it makes it special that they do have it. And I think my fuse comes from my father. You know, at the same fuse. Okay, not anymore.
Right.
Now,
Right.
and I mean, that's easy to prepare wrestling because it's easy to get mad and frustrated out there, and you know how to handle it, give it the right outlet, and not be a part of your marriage, you know. They swim together wonderfully together.
Hey man, it's always it's interesting for me to sit here and think. I mean, you're a third generation guy. I mean, so like if you're just sitting around at the dinner table, or for a family gathering, I mean, what would it be just like you and your father, Mike Rotundo, IRS? I mean, did y'all ever just sit there and just talk psychology or talk about the business, or did y'all leave that away from conversation? Because here was a guy who'd been around. Speaking of at least Mike, right now, your father, who'd been around for a long time, great psychology, great worker, very solid in the ring. Did y'all ever have those conversations where he'd say, hey man, you might want to slow this down, or you might want to grab a hold here, or more transition, maybe work a spot here? Did you borrow any psychology from your father?
No, of course. I mean, we've had those jobs where, just like you're saying, most of my life we did kind of keep it away.
Right.
I prefer that too. Usually when I'm home, it's kind of, that is who I am there, and this is who I am here. I've learned from him a lot of things, you know, especially not just in-ring stuff, but, you know, how to be a man and survive here, and how to be a man and survive with your home life. You know, he taught me a lot of that. And it's not just simply, hey, teach me how to during the cues when the heat starts, you know, how to be a real human being. It's more what I get from him.
Hey man, you grew up in a family of wrestling. Your dad was always gone, and now you're always gone.